Hello guys, welcome to my run through of a 24 Shadowmoon Burial Grounds. The affixes this week we're playing with are Tyrannical, Raging and Storming. So the main things to worry about on this one is going to be obviously a Soothe for Raging. You need to get rid of that on most packs. It's going to be something, if you leave the Enrage up, it's going to be pretty detrimental for the team. Normally the tank's going to get slapped in the face, or a random interrupt's going to go out and kill a DPS or a healer, so that's never fun. So Soothe, we've got a Druid as you can see, so we've got that covered. And then Storming, really just dodging the tornadoes, some scary parts like on boss fights. For example, on like the third boss in here, Big Worm Boy. If he does his massive slam down on the floor and you run into a tornado and you're in the air, that's not great news for you. So things like that, just be aware of dodging those at the right times and just generally dodging them in most situations. Never ideal to run into them on purpose, unless of course you're going to run into them to try and to cleanse them. Because when you run into them, they disappear. So you can try to cleanse them to get rid of them so they're not a nuisance for upcoming big boss mechanics, but for the most part you just kind of generally want to try and ignore them. So talents I'm running in this dungeon, I'm not in Windfury Totem again, so and another situation where I probably could be playing Windfury Totem here with a DH and a prop warrior, but the problem is with that on Tyrannical, I prefer to be in Ellie Blast, especially in pug groups, especially in groups that I'm not familiar with or that I don't know if they can be focusing on the right targets. So I normally stay in Ellie Blast on Tyrannical pug keys, mainly for the single target damage, the funnel, so I can really direct it somewhere, especially of course on the bosses for Tyrannical. They need a lot of single target damage. That being said, if I was in a dungeon slightly smaller, I would probably swap out Crashing Storms for either Windfury Totem or play back into Swirling Maelstrom. But that would normally be in like a Temple of the Jade Serpent, excuse me, Quarter Stars or Ruby. I wouldn't do it in here really, because there is still some valuable packs where Crashing Storms is useful here. Things like 5-pack mobs, especially after the first boss, those ones with the Dominators in there and stuff, they're really, as much as it's Tyrannical, you do want them packs dead fast, and the AoE is valuable there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I spoke over the first half of this now, so we're just going to run down and I will talk and give some explanation of some things I'm doing, reasonings, useful tips and tricks as we go, alright? So this next pack coming up here, the one you really want to focus on in this one is going to be the Bone Mender. Now the Ritual Bone dudes are going to really hurt your tank with Void Lashes. As you can see there, Void Slash, the Prot Warrior's got no problem with it though. It's not really hurting him, but after he runs out of cooldowns, they're going to become problematic. They're going to hurt quite a bit. But yeah, that being said, the Bone Menders here, they cast a Void Bolt at a random target, which is very, very heavy, especially on Fort Weeks, and they also use a move called Shadow Mend. If that goes out, they're just going to heal basically, I think it's 50% of their HP, so it is quite annoying. You don't really want to ever let that go through, because it just puts you back in time quite a bit. So yeah, every mob here is quite important, but the final target mainly get down first is the Shadow Mender. And then here you can just use things like CCs, like your Thunder Shock, your Sundering, your Cap Totem, just to stun those Void Slash casts if you can get them. Obviously it's a bit more challenging with things like Cap Totem to time it properly, but yeah, Thunder Shock and Sundering can stop those Void Slashes pretty easily. It's very helpful for your tank. So since it's Tyrannical week, we're going to Bloodlust this boss. Now one thing I would say here is recommended, I wouldn't use my, as you can see, I'm not using my Primordial Wave on pull. I normally hold it for the first Dark Communion, just because then you obviously have the 2 target Primordial Wave, way better for 20% haste than getting 10% haste. So I would hold Primordial Wave on pull. Everything else you're okay to send it, things like Wolves and stuff, right, get the CDR running on that. So as you can see, I've Astral Shift that first one. I'll now use my Ancestral Guidance on the second one of those, just to help the healer out a little bit. Dark Communion comes out, swap to the ad immediately. Claim that Thunder in, please, Kieran. Silly boy. There you go. So I've Primordial Waved. I've now got 2 targets hit with Primordial Wave. And then we're just sending it. Let's get that one down. And that is pretty much this boss, really. You just kind of repeat that over and over again. And now, since you held your Primordial Wave on the pull there, you should be able to see, every time Dark Communion happens, my Primordial Wave will line up perfectly near enough. If not perfect, 2 or 3 seconds away. So you can double Primordial Wave now every single Dark Communion. It's a nice little handy trick. So for these Whispers of Dark Star on Tyrannical, they can be pretty rough on higher keys. So if you haven't got a healer that's got really good healing cooldowns, the things you can do to help, I would normally Astral Shift the first one. You can AG the second one if you are feeling scary as well with your personal health. AG is not enough to obviously keep your health up. You can also Earth Ellie that one. That will give you, I think it's a 15% stamina bonus. I may be wrong with that. I'm a bad shaman. I think it's 15 or 20% stamina buff when you Earth Ellie. So that's a good one for the second one. And then your Primordial Wave, your Astral Shift should be up for the third one again. So 1 and 3 should be Astral Shift. Ancestral Guidance can also be used on 2 or 4. Or vice versa, right? You can also Ancestral Guidance 1 and 3 and just Astral Shift the second one, just play around with it. But you should have things ready for all of them. and of course things like health potions and stuff. So you can see our priest has gone down there. It is a pretty heavy move. This is probably by far the hardest boss in here in my opinion. It is a bit of a trucker.
Oh, Jesus!
As you can see, Primordial Wave's coming off on cooldown exactly in time. Ad comes up, Primordial Wave, get that haste buff. Nice little Grief Torch. Nice little stuck in the stuck in the crap, can't reach the ad, but it's fine, we made it. So Dark Eclipse, another handy trick here. Make sure you're always in your Ghost Wolf. Because if you're running the correct talent, you should be getting a 20% DR for being in Ghost Wolf for 4 seconds. So every single second you should get a 5% DR. So yeah, nothing else to do there unless you need to top yourself with Healing Surge and things like that. I would recommend always being in Raptor form while that goes out, just for the extra defensive on that. No reason not to be. Yeah, it's just a rinse and repeat over and over again. As you can see again, Primordial Wave perfectly lining up now. So if you don't hold the first Primordial Wave as you pull this boss, you will skew your timings. But if you just hold off for that first Primordial Wave for 10-15 seconds before the ad comes out, you're lined up for the entire fight there. So I would really recommend doing that.
Has somebody got a weak aura, by the way, that tells you when it's off cooldown?
As you can see there, I lost about 30% HP compared to other people losing 50 to 60 there, just from being in Raptor form.
Fucking time, if someone dies, I want to know straight away they're fucking dead. You know? I want to be like, bro...
And as always with these sort of mechanics as well there, with the Dark Whispering Star there, if you haven't got things like Astral Shift or anything ready for it, and you know you're going to be a bit scary, if you see that move coming in a few seconds, then obviously just pull your Maelstrom, hold your Maelstrom, don't be greedy with DPS, because that 5 Maelstrom or 10 Maelstrom Healing Surge could save your life there. It's better to be smart with that sort of thing. So I always recommend, if you can see your toolkit and you're like, shit, I've got nothing ready for this one, what can I do? Don't just rely on the healer to keep you okay. Unless of course you're in pre-mades, you can communicate that sort of stuff before, you know your healer's got cooldowns coming up and he's going to use them. But if you're not sure of that, if you're in pug groups with no Discord and stuff like that, I would just be smart. Hold 5 to 6 Maelstrom. Don't waste that on like a Lightning Bolt or an Ellie Blast or something silly. Hold that, make sure you're safe, and then spend afterwards. You know, it's 2 seconds could keep you alive. Okay, this pack can be a bit janky sometimes, but the main thing to worry about here, there's going to be a Dominator at the back there. You see he's interrupted that, bring it in. The other 2 mobs casting Domination, you preferably do not want to interrupt those. As you can see, they've been interrupted here anyway. That people have just fucking YOLO 420 sent it. Not ideal. Preferably let those carry on casting Domination for the entire duration. That way they don't actually really bother you at all. They won't do anything to you. Whereas if you interrupt them, you get Rending Void Lashes and you get Dominations cast on you, which is obviously not ideal, and it makes it up 3 interrupts instead of having 1 interrupt in this pack. And whereas you have to get the Dominator and you have to get the Rending Void Lash, so it's technically like 6 interrupts to have to worry about. Obviously CCs and stuff can happen, but it's just way easier to leave them dominating, let them cast what they're doing and just kill them. Now one trick you can do here, this tank hasn't done it, but one trick you can do here, let that Exhumer walk down into the second Exhumer. If they are completely stacked up, or pretty much near enough stacked up, when you pull them, these 2 back Exhumed spirits won't spawn. So it just saves you some time there having to deal with these. Obviously you can cleave the Exhumers down at the same time as well, makes it way easier. So yeah, let's let that first one patrol down, then put them together. Not many tanks know that, I don't think, but it's a very handy little trick. So as you can imagine, now we'd be playing the other Exhumer here already. They're both near enough to be dead, especially for things like Enhance. Having those 4 mobs together instead of playing them one by one, you have way more funnel going into the Shadow Moon Exhumers and Cleave, etc. You know, going on from other people as well, killing them faster. And it's just generally a better way to play these. No time lost, only 2 interrupts really needed. You can use things like Thundershock to knock up those Death Blasts coming in from the other ones. They should normally cast in sync anyway. Again, another thing people don't really know about this fight in terms of like and tanks, if you can play these Exhumed Spirits, interrupt them all, bring them in, don't purge them, leave those shields on them. Someone's obviously purged that one, not ideal. You can see me typing in chat now, begging not to purge those off. But if you can bring those spirits in, things like Primordial Wave, and then just generally having your Ashen Catalyst and your Lava Burst, your Lava Lashes being insanely increased per Flame Shock tick. If you can have those alive as long as possible, big funnel coming in from those onto the boss there. So as you can see, They've died very, very fast. Things, they get cleaved down pretty easy. It's natural, especially from our Frost Shock. And obviously, if other DPS don't know about those and that you're using them for final, they will just blast them down. They will purge them. They will try to kill them because they're panicking. Why are they here? They don't understand you're using them to funnel into the boss. But yeah. So you'll see when I come out of here, I think we did it this time. I'll then go and grab 2 or 3 more. Or at least I would call for the tank to go and do that next time, right? So now I've got Primordial Wave ready in this phase where the boss is taking an insane increased amount of damage as well. You would then go and grab more. So he's done it for me now. You go and grab more. You would then funnel off those as well. And it makes the boss damage way, way higher for literally no loss, right? All you have to do is interrupt them and bring them in. Make sure they don't cast a spell and they're no trouble at all. They don't hurt the tank very much at all either. Now he's grabbed that one here now, I assume for the funnel damage onto the boss. If you're not using these as the funnel damage and stuff like that, and you're just generally not really playing those spirits, one thing I would recommend, that one he just grabbed there, you see where I'm standing? As the boss is about to die, I would activate that spirit. When the boss dies, that spirit then becomes irrelevant and it dies with the boss. Whereas if you don't do that, and you go into the next pack after the boss without activating that spirit will automatically activate in the background. If you don't see it casting a Death Blast and doesn't get interrupted, it will just one-shot somebody. So it's not ideal. You want to kind of technically grab that before the boss dies. It saves a lot of hassle. Obviously, it's not really that much problem if you catch it when you pull this next pack of mobs. Interrupt it, bring it in, no hassle. But the amount of times you see that get missed and it just one-shot somebody, it's a wasted death, no reason for it. So just try and get that before the boss dies and it will die with the boss. Obviously don't do it too early. Try and get it preferably in the last like 5% or like 2 to 3% so it dies as it comes up. Yeah, that's about it for this boss. Nothing else really to say. You kind of just, make sure when you get your soul stolen, you don't sit down there for too long. I normally try to save some Maelstrom to either Ellie Blast it or if I haven't got Ellie Blast ready, just lightning bolt it fast, Hellstorm it. Just get it down quickly. You don't want to be in there too long, you will die, of course. If you have nothing else left as well, Primordial Wave can be useful there. I would preferably, if you're doing the tactic I just mentioned, I would try to save Primordial Wave to obviously get 3 or 4 lightning bolts out rather than just the 2. Same again with this pack as the one at the beginning here. Dominators at the back there, don't interrupt those if you can. As you can see, this time we've not done that. They're just casting Domination indefinitely. If you don't interrupt them, they'll continue doing that. They're not on the targets, they're just on the mobs, so they're not hurting you at all. And they can just be cleaved down passively and GG.
You got a lurk rep? Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're still working, I take it, right?
To save some time here, you can technically pull this Exhumer, interrupt it and bring it into the pack we've just previously played. Playing it by itself here is a little bit slow. I mean, obviously the tank is going to run it down a little bit here. You could continue running down here, to be fair to the spiders, and just play this as you run. It's a bit of a time sink to just be sitting here like we are now and playing it. It's not ideal in terms of speed. Especially on a Tyrannical week, right? It's not going to do too much damage on a Tyrannical week. On a Fortified week, it might be scary to play it into the pack. But as long as you get the Void Bolt interrupts, they really do nothing either. Now, the main thing to worry about here is the Plague Bats and the Spider. Someone make sure they're getting that Spider, that Necrotic Burst. I've got that, there you go. Another Plague Bats doing the Plague Spit. That is going to put a massive bleed on somebody, or sorry, a poison on somebody. It also slows their movement. We can remove that with things like Spirit Walk. So if you do get targeted by the Plague Bat Spit, it hits you. See if it gets it. The DH has got it there. You see that on my frames. 10-second duration. That's slowing him and damaging him. Now, if we get that, we can Spirit Walk and it removes the effect completely. It's good to know, especially when we get to the 4 later on with the Worm. Now we go downstairs here. We play some small spiders and then we're back into 2 big spiders. So now is where you need to coordinate, right? Make sure not every single person gets the same monstrous spider interrupt, leaving the other one to go out because that's not going to be great. it is a very, very heavy group tick. Even on Tyrannical Week and not fortified, it still hurts quite a lot, especially if it goes out when the mob's raging. It's never going to be fun.
I bet it's a fucking troll, to be honest.
One thing to mention here as well, if for some reason your comp decided to skip the very first pack in the dungeon, it's very likely you'll be playing the other 2 spiders just found behind these 2, so just be aware that your tank might run into those and again have to coordinate those interrupts. Right now our tank's pulled this into the worm, not too scary, that's a pretty good idea to be fair, saving time, cleaving, etc. Now I would have pulled the bats into this worm as well. I think on this run he was a little bit late in doing so, or I might be wrong, I might be thinking of a different run, but yes, you would now normally play those 4 plague bats as well. There you go, they're coming in. You play those 4 into this worm too. Good cleave, good for us for Primordial Wave, etc. Get them interrupted, bring them in. Now the only problem here, if all 4 of these go out and you get unlucky, you get 2 or 3 of them on the one person, it is pretty much dead. Things like Thundershock are great here, Sundering's great here, and again Cap Totem. If you can see when the casts are going out, you've got the weak aura like I have, you can pre-Cap Totem those, get those stopped. And again, now you can see I've got the debuff. I've already previously used my Spirit Walk to get rid of it, but now I could technically, if I had it, Spirit Walk, that completely negates and removes that effect, stops the bleed, stops the slow, all of that. Really, really handy trick. Now we go into just 1 worm, easy peasy, nothing special with this guy.
Yeah. For on God. Oh yeah. We'll see.
Now for this fight on Tyrannical, a lot of people do decide to Bloodlust this purely because it's an insanely long fight. Not necessarily difficult fight, it takes way too flipping long. Like it's a very, very poorly designed fight in my opinion, and the fact it's a rinse and repeat fight but lasts 20 times longer than any other fight normally would. I have no idea why they decided to do that. I guess they just never decided to change the health pools, etc. But yeah, you normally lust it just to burn it down faster, otherwise it's a massive time sink on Tyrannical just to be here for no reason for so long. Again, nothing really difficult in the fight. The 2 worms will come up with the boss at some point, and that's otherwise just inhaling and body slamming, and that's all it really does. One thing to note here, the first pool drops down, it will normally do an inhale as the first real move it does after the drop down. Just be aware, if you're going to pre-position yourself into that pool for the slow so you don't get inhaled, it can sometimes decide to do body slam like that. It does it first instead of the inhale. So you do not want to get caught in that slow and get fucking body slammed because you can't move. So just be hyper aware. It's only ever the first one it will do that. Yeah, but just be hyper aware at that point that is it going to body slam me or is it going to inhale me? Obviously don't be so slow that you get inhaled. That'd be very sad. But yeah, just be aware that it can sometimes switch up what it does. Now again, another good target here for Primordial Wave. You get Flame Shocks on all 3 of these, the main mob and the 2 worms. Primordial Wave, 30% haste, delicious, we love that, you know we do. Now you go and kill these. Some groups decide to leave these. I personally think it's a good idea to kill them because they do a lot of group damage. Like, some people will be like, they don't do anything, just leave them, just kill the boss. Your healer will disagree. There is a lot of raid damage going out from those worms just passively hitting people because they're not on the tank at that point, right? They're just group damaging, which is never fun. So I personally would like to go and kick those down if I was in an organised group, and then back to the boss, and now they will never spawn again. It's just going to be you and the boss now doing the same tactics over and over again. You're not going to have any unfriendly little worms popping out of the water. Yeah, just take the rest of your evening to kill the boss, and hopefully you don't fall asleep during it. Now when the boss does submerge here, if you have things like Flame Shock ticking, which obviously you should, if you look around the room when it submerges, you can technically see your DPS numbers popping up from like Flame Shock ticking in the water where it's going to spawn, so you can get over there and position yourself a bit faster. Nothing too major, right? You're not going to lose much downtime from that, but it is handy to get there first. We love to win races. He's going to submerge now. Let's see if we can see where the flame shot's ticking. Do I look around? Am I smart? There he is. You can see that on the right hand side there. If I was actually looking at the screen instead of reading my chat. Just another 20% to go on the boss here now, which equates to about 3.5 hours. But after this, we go into the spiders. Again, there's spiders, there's plague bats. Same as the packs we were playing before, but yeah, just getting all the interrupts here. There's 2 plague bats, 2 spiders. So again, you want to make sure you're getting both spider interrupts. The plague bats aren't as important, but you need to get those necrotic bursts from the spiders. Something or somebody else.
Help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. He's grabbing my dick.
As you can see, I've got one of the plague bat spits on me. I can't remove that because I'm stupid and decided to spirit walk to run across that little concrete bridge just a tiny bit faster for literally no reason. So don't be like me. Hold your spirit walk there. It'll be handy. Now with these 2 spirits, technically you're always going to have to burst one of them down. Don't try and cleave them down evenly, it's never going to be worth it. So you skull one, kill one very fast. What I like to do here is I run in. I haven't done it this time because I use them early like an idiot. But normally on this pull, I would Astral Shift, I would Ancestral Guidance, I would Primordial Wave, and then as the first Void Pulse goes out, I would send my Lightning Bolt to fully heal the group pretty much to full. Then you'll have your Astral Shift running for the second Void Pulse. It won't kill you, everyone's topped, healer loves you. And that's it. And then I just die because I'm silly. But technically one of those Void Spawns should be dead before it really gets another double Void Pulse off, so you can pretty much ensure that you're going to live there. If your group's a little bit scarier, you might last a bit longer there, and they might get 2 Void Pulses out, 3 Void Pulses out. Never ideal, but yeah, that kind of ensures you're not going to die to the first Void Pulses like duoing, because they are very fast in conjunction with each other at the beginning. It is a bit scary. Obviously, if your healer's using massive cooldowns and you're in organised groups, you can instead Astral Guidance the second ones. But that's what I just generally do in pug groups when I'm not too sure whether I'm going to be safe or not. I just Astral Shift, I Ancestral Guidance, and I make sure I live those first 2 Void Pulses. As you can see, he's enraged there. Very, very lucky we didn't die and we were topped, because he enraged and Void Pulse without getting a Soothe on him. So we technically should have died there. If it was a fortified week, we were at 110% dead there. Now, last boss hasn't got too much going on really. I'll explain some of the more helpful things as they happen here. Again, I would recommend, like first boss, hold Primordial Wave for the first part of the boss here, because when the first wall comes out, Primordial Wave the first wall. You can probably get 2 or 3 flame shocks on things there as well. I'll explain that when we get to it. But hold the Primordial Wave. That way it will line up with every single wall if you use it on the first wall instead of on the first boss. Sorry, on the pull of the boss. Okay, so we're going. So I have done exactly what I told you not to do. I've Primordial Waved on the pull. Do not do that. I'm an idiot. All right. Hold it for the first wall, and then it's up for every single wall. And the way we're going to play the wall here, it's going to be way more valuable to have Primordial Wave on the wall than it is on the boss alone. Not for padding reasons, why some people might think. What you do now, so you can see I'm flame shocking one of the walls. I'm now swapping. I'm going to flame shock another wall. Now what you would normally do here, you'd Primordial Wave a third Ritual of Bones, and then you'd then you'd Lightning Bolt on the one that you're actually killing for the most damage on it, but then you're getting 4 Primordial Wave buffs out instead of just having 1 or 2. Now that's not just padding on the wall for the extra mobs, right? What you're doing there is gaining 40% haste, which means you're getting way more valuable boss damage in. You don't care about the wall damage except for the one that you obviously are focusing, but the other 2 ones that you're flame shocking are purely there just to get you a haste buff. which obviously it will transfer into more boss damage for the next 15 seconds. Let's see if I listen to myself here. I'm holding my Primordial Wave, I believe, for the next wall. I should be, at least. That would be the smart thing for Kieran to do, but we don't know about that. There you go. So now you see what I was talking about. I'm going to Primordial Wave 1. I'm going to Lava Lash. Sorry, I'm going to Flame Shock 1. I'm going to wait for my Flame Shock again, get that third one, and now I'll spend. There you go. 4 Primordial Wave buff going out. Giving me a ton of haste. Almost 71% haste now, or 87 now, thanks to my 4-set bonus as well. Just full haste going into that boss there. And obviously, the more the more Flame Shocks you're getting out on those mobs, the stronger your Lava Lashes are going to be as well, thanks to our talents. So it's not just for the Primordial Wave at that point. The entire time those mobs are walking away, even when you've killed the one you need to kill and you go through and you're killing the boss, lovely jubbly, the ones that are still walking miles away that have Flame Shock are still granting you that. I think it's Ashen Catalyst is the talent these days, right? Not Primal Lava Actuators, that was in Shadowlands. But them Flame Shocks are still ticking, increasing your Lava Lash damage and the cooldown of your Lava Lash. Until they completely disappear when they get to the end. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the entire fight, to be honest with you. You just have to be really smart that you're not walking into that purple fog. Again, watch out for storming and stuff here. That's another tricky place for it. You want to get storming in the air, hit the wall, get hit by Malevolence, etc, etc. But yeah, that's pretty much this entire fight, so I'll leave you there. Thank you very much for watching. If anyone has any questions or any any things they'd rather ask in DMs or on stream, drop me a comment, drop me a comment, drop me a message in stream, and I'm happy to always help and offer where I can. I haven't got the overall breakdown for this, I'm afraid, in terms of like what moves were where, because I forgot to save it before I went into another dungeon. So you can see at the beginning and at the end now if you want to wait, my overall damage anyway. So you can, if you have any questions about like the actual positions of where your move should be, whether you think something you're doing is quite wrong and you want to ask, then feel free to give me a shout, alright? I'm happy to go through it with you guys. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care.
Oh, he's gonna die. Oh, yo, yo. Silly little DH. You can't touch the purple, mate. It kills ya. Oh, messed that up.